Teresa.
Hi, Manny.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Again. Thank you. You too.
I know that you have to deal with traffic. I always have to deal with traffic. It's Toronto.
Yeah, it's busy.
We say Toronto because Toronto is much bigger, but the problem is bigger. It's not just a core. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I think it's people don't really care about rules of the road. Maybe they're all grumpy. That's why. You need to do a mobile unit of Steps of Happiness. That's what you need to do. So then you can actually see somebody who looks unhappy on the roadway and pull them over and then go, listen, this is what you need to do. Here's my toolbox and we'll go from here, right?
Yeah, that's why I have a whole playlist of songs and like podcasts that I listen to distract myself, because I notice I start feeling like angry and frustrated, and then right away I'm like, okay, where's my songs? And then it just like pulls me away.
What's the one song that gets you right away, like changes your state? Is there one song that does that?
Well, there is one now that I listen to quite often, and it's called Gratitude, actually. So the whole song is about just gratitude to God, gratitude in general. And it
changes your state
right away.
Right away, huh?
Yeah. It's just the sound of it and the words in the song too. It reminds me of what's important, reminds me of everything that's going right and well in my life. And there's so much to be grateful for. We just tend to focus on the negative and what's missing, right?
We totally forget.
So
we're just not paying attention. But I mean, it's nice to have you back in. We're going to do another call show. We've got three lovely women that we're going to be calling and talking to them, and they're all over the place. I guess some are here and one's in the US.
Yeah.
But we want to let everybody know why we're doing this whole, and you came up with the Building Joy thing, which is amazing. So if you want to just share, first of all, your information, Steps of Happiness, how to get a hold of you, because obviously I strongly believe that there's a lot of tradespeople out there, men and women, that want to reach out to you and speak to you and talk to you and try to figure out how to add a little bit more happiness in their life, right?
Thank you. Yeah. And so this is our second episode, and I feel like we didn't formally introduce ourselves very much.
It was a jam-packed show last time.
It was so busy. So yes, I'm Teresa Greco. I do lots of different things, but I am a certified life coach that specializes in happiness and spirituality. I am a multiple-time TEDx speaker. I am the editor of a luxury men's magazine, an international writer, so I contribute content to publications all over the world, primarily around happiness. I am pursuing my PhD with my dissertation in happiness. I am an educator and educational technologies consultant.
Your mom, your wife, friends.
Yeah.
You realize there's only 7 days in the week, right?
I know, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Oh, I'm a best-selling author. I have 2 shows. I'm the host of 2 of my own shows, the Steps to Happiness show and the Happy Hour, and now Building Joy.
And now we're doing this.
Yeah, that I'm doing with you.
And so this all came about because we were having conversations and you brought this up to me, and I said, you know what? There really is a void in the construction industry. We're so driven on what's going on in the industry, we keep on forgetting that there's so much more that can be going on in our own lives, whether it's at the job site or in our personal lives. But I think slowly but surely the tradespeople, mostly I'm going to speak for the tradesmen, they're ignoring what's really good in their life. They're really focusing on what's bad, and they're having more moments of negative than positive, and we're trying to flip that. That's where Building Joy came from about. It's really about realizing there are little things that become big things that will make you a better person.
Yeah, and I wanted to do this with you because of my direct connection to the trades, that I grew up with a father who owned his own business. He was a plumber. So of a daughter with a father that worked in the trades, and then observing their relationship between my father and mom. Because of the fact that he owned his own business, she stayed at home, grew up the kids. So I had that perspective. And then I ended up marrying someone who also works in the trades, has his own business. And now I'm the mother myself of a son who's also going to be working in the trades. And so I feel like a big part of myself and my life has been connected to the trades, but from this perspective. And so I love the fact that you and I are coming together to do this, because the work that we're going to do together is really kind of targeting what is happening to the tradesperson.
Yeah.
And almost like the effect of that on everyone that's connected to them. And I feel like I can very much speak to like what's that like, because I'm always surrounded by tradespeople, because all my husband's friends are all she work in the trades. And then
you can clearly see if a tradesperson's had a good or a bad day. It just kind of just comes off of them, right? It's just the way they are when they arrive at home, when their mind is just elsewhere, and maybe there's problems on the site. Maybe everything went well on the site. We don't know, but like you can see it. You could totally see it. And you could also see it when they get better, when they get happier. You can totally see it as well too.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's working in this industry is very much different than, having a 9-to-5 job. And it takes a toll on the individual and the relationships around them, for sure, just because of like the demands of the industry.
Yeah.
The erratic schedules, and then all the things that can happen on the site that then can impact how you feel, how you show up for yourself and other people. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited about our show.
Yeah, I think this is going to be good. Right? We're going to continue doing this. We're going to obviously invite more and more people to reach out to yourself, to myself. They can do it through the show. They can do it through all your connections that you have regarding social media platforms. There's always a way to get a hold of any of us. And if you want to be on a future show, by all means, reach out. Let us know, and then we'll schedule it. We'll plan it. We'll put you on the schedule, and then we'll call you. We'll basically call you at that. So that's what this whole idea was all about, right? So it was really important to do this. And I think that the one thing I do want to say is the unfortunate thing is that nobody else is really doing this. Like, I don't see it. And that's what I love about this show, is that there's a lot of things that have come up that nobody else is really doing. And I know that as a tradesperson, as a person that listens to a lot of tradespeople, and I see it through their social media, and I visit them on job sites and I talk to a lot of them, I'm like, there's a need. There's a need for this. Everybody is creating. It's unfortunate. It almost feels like they're creating a bigger hole in their life, and being as narrow-minded as you want to be as a tradesperson, they just think it's simple to fix that hole. It's like, it'll just solve itself. It's no problem. It'll just take care of itself. And maybe it doesn't show up tomorrow. Maybe it doesn't show up this week, or maybe it doesn't work that way, right, Teresa? Like, you have to actually work at this.
Yes, you do. You have to work at your happiness. Absolutely. It's not just something that happens when we get that perfect house or perfect partner or sports car, or all the things that we may be working towards. Happiness is not found at the end of that destination, let's say, that it's found within us at any moment for us to tap into, to connect to, but it's making time for that. And so our collaboration is about bringing a voice to those that work in the trades, that I feel like just even mainstream society, we don't really hear very much about the voice. We see the product of all that hard work, right? Society is built on the work of tradesmen, right?
Yeah.
The homes, the infrastructure that we have is all people that work in the trades. If we didn't have people doing that work, what would we do? And so, but we don't hear so much about the voice. And so that's why I really love about what you're doing, because you are giving them a voice and to be heard in a variety of different ways. And through our first show, we had different people in the trades that called in and shared, I felt like, really interesting stories.
Yeah, a lot.
About, some of their personal struggles, some of the different changes, and the effort that they've put into working on their happiness and how they're seeing the results of that. And so it is important that we make time to connect with our happiness, and because it's inside of us to feel at any moment and to feel in abundance, it just requires that we make it a priority. But I feel like when you do that, your life just continues to get better and better and better. And I'm a testament to that, because I was not happy. That's why I do this work. Over 10 years ago, my life was perfect. I had achieved all the things that family, society, culture, religion told me I needed to have a happy life, and was still feeling unhappy and unfulfilled, like it didn't make sense. And I know now, after sharing my story with many people, that it is around like that halfway point that all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm kind of feeling like that too. And I realized that I wasn't alone, and I'm feeling that many of us, around that point start to wonder, why is it that, I've achieved a certain level of success in my business and in my company, whatever that is in my life, and still aren't feeling happy. And so that's where like then this journey inward needs to start happening.
It has to happen.
Yeah.
But it's funny, the construction industry, I'm going to call her soon, the construction industry is so used to, if there's an issue, there's a product on a shelf to be purchased to solve that issue. There's no price tag attached to this happiness thing. So that's why I think a lot of tradespeople are having a hard time trying to understand, how do I find happiness in my life, because I can't find it on the shelf. That's
Or
their
in a
mindset.
pill.
Or in a pill.
Right? That's the other
In a
thing,
bottle,
right? They
in a
just
pill,
go to see their doctor.
of
Why
course,
is that?
yeah.
And you're given like a prescription for antidepressants.
It's not
That's not the
there.
solution. No, not the solution.
You ready to make the first one?
Yes.
Anita. So am I on the feed? It's okay here that I can make the call? Teresa, let's make our first phone call here.
Okay.
Anita. We're going to talk to Anita.
And I don't know what they're sharing, right?
So, we have no idea. We're going to introduce them and we'll go from there. So she's in Toronto.
So it could be about what's going well in their life, or what could they use a little bit of help with.
Hello?
Hey, Anita.
Hey.
Hey, you can hear me fine?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
It's Manny from the Construction Life. I'm, I guess, a
Building
co-pilot. Yeah. Well, Billy Joy, right? I'm a co-pilot to Teresa here. She's the one that's flying the plane.
Oh, awesome.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. Thank you so much for making the time and jumping on. And then Teresa's right here. She's on the mic.
Hi,
Hey,
Anita.
Teresa.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, good. I'm so glad that you agreed to be on the show today.
Yeah, of course.
Where do we want to begin, Teresa? Like how?
Well, so this is the second episode of Building Joy, and I mentioned to you that you are free to talk about both sides of the spectrum. I look at happiness like a two-sided coin. So one side could be that we have blocks that are preventing us from feeling the happiness that is always inside of us to feel, and to feel in abundance. Or the other side of the coin is that, how much time do we make to connect to our inner happiness? And when we do, what the amazing results are in our life when we prioritize happiness. So what did you want to share with us today?
Sure. So I think I can probably speak to both sides of that coin. I did struggle with finding happiness. I had a bit of postpartum depression, and it was a little bit of a struggle. But I think I'm in a really good place now. And some of the major changes I made was I had to change my perspective and really realize that I was in control of my own happiness. And if I wanted to be happy, I had to do things myself. I couldn't rely on others to make me happy. So that involved things like creating boundaries and kind of doing a little bit of taking out the trash of all the negativity that was in my life. Not easy, but it had to be done. And just finding time for myself. I'm a mom of two, and I find I'm always needed for something. So trying to really put time to myself to do what I like to do really helped me be joyful and find happiness and not always resent other people.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. I think that, your decision to prioritize and making time in your very busy schedule to connect with your inner happiness is important. But I think that first step in recognizing that it is our responsibility to do that we're always pointing fingers at everyone around us and saying like, why, if only you were different, if only you acted more like this, if only you did more of that, and then I'd be happy. And I remember when I was a young mom, I felt like intuitively my husband would know when he got home from work, right, from a long day, that he would just know that he needed to step in and start helping with the kids. And he didn't know what to do, that he, had woken up very early to go to work, and very physically, challenging job. And then coming home just wanted to eat, sleep, repeat. So eat, pass out on the couch.
We all know. Yeah.
And then repeat the whole process the next day. So what was it like at home, like for you? And because you also have a daycare, right?
I did. Yeah, I owned a daycare, and that was done out of necessity for a sacrifice for my family. We needed to have childcare for my little one, and it wasn't working out. So I kind of did that. So that I had to make sure that I realized that was a decision I made. I didn't have to do it. Otherwise, I think I would have resented myself and resented the whole situation. But yeah, I did have a daycare. And it was just, my husband, I think we just had to communicate, because I fell into the same trap of, being the mom, you are the primary parent. And I just had to ask for help, and I became a little bossy, I guess, but no, he didn't know what I needed, and I had to just communicate better. And since that has changed, and I made that change, we were able to kind of come to a happy medium, and I couldn't expect him to know what I needed. I just had to ask for it.
Can I ask, Anita, I'm curious on how long it's been since you actually finally decided that I needed to get a hold of this and start making some changes. And then how much time was it that you realized passed that you started realizing, hang on, something's going on. Like, I'm not really happy what's going on. Are we talking months here? Or are we talking years on both spectrums?
I think the realization took months, I would say. But the changes took years.
For sure.
I started seeing a therapist, and she's really helped me with, her practice is about balancing. It's called Balanced Self. So I knew I wasn't balanced, so that seemed like the perfect person to talk to. But I think when I started doing a lot of personal work on myself, and that takes years, and I'm still doing it, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop, that's when I could truly feel happy, because I got a different perspective, and I was able to see things differently, and I had a person telling me and someone to talk through things, and just kind of validate some of my feelings. That's when that process has been taking years, and I'm happy to continue to go through it, because I've seen the benefits of the putting in the work.
I'm curious on how much of your, I mean, I don't want to get into how young you are or, or that situation, but I'm curious about how much of it is connected to your own childhood.
Oh, we're exploring that for sure in therapy. And I come from, my parents were immigrants, and I think I've spent a lot of time understanding sort of what they were probably thinking when they were raising my sister and I, and how, like, through no fault of their own, they were just doing the best with what they knew at the time. But yeah, a lot of it's coming up that, being raised a certain way and really kind of being a cycle breaker with my own parenting. It's come up quite a lot that, I just didn't learn how to prioritize myself, because my parents didn't have the luxury to do that. They were in a new country trying to figure out how to have a life and raise two kids. They didn't have that luxury, so it was never really modeled for me. So that's a huge shift too, being the child of immigrant parents, like kind of slowing down and realizing they gave me this life, and I should really benefit from it the best I can.
Yeah, thank you. And I was just thinking about the communication that we would have observed through our parents, right? And my parents too, also immigrant parents, trying to do the best that they could. And they didn't communicate a lot. And when they did, it was often very tumultuous. So it was a lot of arguing, a lot of pointing fingers at each other, put downs. It wasn't positive at all. And so I think many of us also didn't have great role models to know even how to communicate our feelings with our partners, because we didn't have that great communication maybe with our parents, and then they didn't model great communication between them as a couple. And I think that also then goes into like, now we're in our relationship and we don't have a foundation for that. And I think that, us being able to talk to professionals, whether that's like coaches, therapists, counselors, like whatever seems to meet your needs the best, is important, because we tend to tell ourselves lies in our minds, right? We're just constantly telling our own story to ourselves, and talking about it casually with our friends who are going through the same thing is not the solution. It helps us to vent, but it doesn't bring us clarity as to like what we can do to actually get ourselves out of the situation, and whether what we're saying to ourselves on repeat in our heads is actually the truth.
Yeah.
Totally.
Definitely.
I was going to ask you, Anita, I was just curious, have your friends, family, and coworkers seen a difference in you?
My husband definitely has. I think this is another topic that I bring up a lot with my therapist. I've been very good at masking things, so I don't think my colleagues or friends, acquaintances would have noticed, but my good friends, they have noticed. And I feel a lot lighter. I'm in my 40s now. I just had a 40th last year, and I think that's changed things a lot, where I'm putting myself first, and I don't care about the same things that I used to. And that itself has brought me so much joy, just not caring about, what other people are thinking about me, or, wanting all that material stuff. Just, I think I feel a lot more grounded now in my 40s. And I think the people around me have really noticed a difference in that.
I think balance that's also something that you mentioned is key. That when things are out of balance, we feel it in a whole bunch of different ways, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of those aspects. And
totally.
So it's important that we tune in to that communication of what our body is telling us, what we're feeling emotionally, instead of stuffing and tucking, or masking it maybe with drugs, alcohol, shopping, various addictions that we're just like, oh, it's okay, I don't have time to deal with this, or oh yeah, maybe it'll get better later, and then we realize that it doesn't, like 10 years later, and we're still suffering with the same shit.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I totally agree with you on that.
So the balance part, how have you achieved some of that balance? What does that look like to have a balanced life?
So I find definitely finding things that bring me joy, and carving out time for that, whether I truly do have time or not, and eliminating kind of the fluff. Like, do we really need to go to this barbecue, or can we just, you get these invitations and you always feel the obligation to go to that family wedding of the distant cousin that you don't really know. And in our culture, it's no, you have to, you must. But we're starting to realize that no, we don't have to. So a lot of that was finding that balance, was spending our time on things that truly matter and truly will make a difference in our own lives. So it can be selfish, but I don't really care anymore.
No, I totally agree with you, because I did that. I'm a little older than you. I'm in my 50s already, and I started realizing that when I got into my 40s, it was very easy for me to start saying no. I didn't have to go just because of the sake of you have to go. Like, to have to go that's not a reason to go. Like, if I want to go because I want to see specific people, I want to have really interesting conversations, then great. But I definitely encourage anybody. And when you're, Anita, celebrating your 40th birthday again next year, and the year after, and the year after again, you could totally keep on saying no. And there'll be some feathers that will get ruffled, but that's okay. Like, totally okay.
Yeah. And that goes along with the boundaries. The only people who are bothered by the boundaries are the ones who keep breaking them.
Yes.
It's so true, though.
Yes, it is. That's such a good point.
Yeah. Just saying no to things, doing the things we really, really want to do, because you only get one life. And I don't know if it's like a midlife crisis or something, but I feel like I have a certain number of years left, and what do I want to spend them doing? Do I want to spend them on myself, improving myself both physically and mentally, and creating bonds in my family, because I wasn't raised that way. So I want to spend time doing all of that stuff. So yeah, saying no, creating the boundaries, finding things that I can spend time on that bring me joy, and making my circle smaller too. That's really been a nice change, and just spending time with people that truly bring me value and inspiration and all of that good stuff.
Yeah. And
calling into radio shows and things like that, they bring me joy.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that we, and they're a value to us, vice versa, right? That we're a value to them in their life, and that we also feel like they're a value to us. And and me too, my circle of friends has gotten very small. And COVID has even like facilitated that, in the sense that there were people that I didn't talk to. And I just thought, like, are these people even really friends? If we don't even talk to each other for like 2 years, and we're going through this global pandemic, and we don't even care whether we're alive or not. So my circle got even smaller just because of that, because it's like, who am I a value to, that they appreciate my time, because our time is so precious.
Yeah.
Time is really the greatest commodity that money can't buy, and it's fleeting ever so quickly, as you said. And so, yes, I think that if we value ourselves, then we need, and we love and respect ourselves. We want to make sure that we're always like so present in living our best life in every moment.
I will say that my circle of friends is barely the size of a hula hoop.
Perfect.
And I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. So
yeah. Quality over quantity, right?
Yes, exactly. That's the thing about it. The only problem is that other friend is getting a little bit big. He needs to start exercising, so he's not going to be able to fit in the hula hoop at that point. But I'll deal with that later on. Anita, thank you very much for taking the time and speaking with us. This has been amazing. Really appreciate it, and you sharing like that. And I know that it's helping others, and that's why we're very grateful that you had it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was great.
Yeah, lots of good points.
Lots of great points
came up in there, right? Things that, and it's important for us to recognize that all of us do different types of work, right? But we're all human beings. In the end, we're all human beings.
Do we deny it, Teresa?
What's that?
That we deserve the happiness.
Oh.
Because I felt as if speaking to her, I've never met her. This is the first time ever speaking with her, but I find that it's always happening in the 30s, and definitely waking up in the 40s, and then by the 50s. Then I understand, being a much younger teenager, why the older men how they were. I get it. They just were set in their ways, and they just said, this is what's important to me. And like you said earlier, we only have so much time. So why are we going to just harp on all these negativity things? So I just wonder that how much time is spent from an individual denying that they deserve this happiness? I know it's kind of difficult to answer, because you start thinking, well, I'm providing, I'm doing my job, I'm there for my family when I can. I'm attending, like she was talking about, I'm attending these family functions. I'm being, I guess, sort of guilted into situations that I don't really want to be a part of anymore. So we keep on denying the fact that we should just say, you know what? I will not be showing up, and our family will not be showing up. We are actually going to hang out with each other, and we're just going to spend time with each other. We don't need to be there just because you're a second, third cousin to, that doesn't matter. So I just keep on thinking, do a lot of people just deny searching for this happiness?
I think we're unconscious of it, right?
True.
We're just going through the
True.
motions of life, doing the things that we're expected to do from very young, right? Lots of different external expectations, and our identity is all caught up in those roles and responsibilities. And many of us are living on autopilot, doing the same things day in and day out, and we're not consciously aware of, how we get to our job every day. Somehow it's like, oh, you drove an hour, and you're like, what happened? Because you're just on autopilot, doing the same things. And so it's only until we stop and we become consciously aware of what's happening in every moment that we can start evaluating ourselves and then deciding to make changes, because otherwise we will be asleep. We will get to like 40 and 50 or whatever age that person might wake up and look back and say, oh my God, this is what my life has been. And so it is so, and unfortunately, a lot of times it's us reaching those crossroad moments in our life, whether that's illness, whether it's loss, whether it's, lots of different reasons that cause us to, for her, maybe it was, her turning 40. For me, it was turning 40. It was that big milestone birthday that had me taking a step back and reevaluating. I don't want it to be an illness, right? I don't need to get cancer or something bad happen or heart attack or something like that to now start making changes.
When people evaluate themselves, do they always put themselves last on that list?
I think it depends on how much we value ourselves. If we really love, honor, and respect ourselves, we're not last on that list. But I was last on my list. I was placing everybody
before you.
And just like Anita, right? And many fathers out there, the same thing, right? They're just doing their job, going out, making the money, supporting the family. And, that's just what I need to do. But if we really love, honor, and respect ourselves, we need to see ourselves in that equation, because we are not serving anybody else if we aren't putting the oxygen mask on ourselves first, right? That if we are not functioning well in our lives, how can we support anybody around us? We're not showing up as the best version of ourselves if we're struggling, if we're not sleeping well, if we're not eating good food, if we're not managing our stress, if we're not engaging in those things that make us happy. When you show up to work the next day, you are going to be that miserable.
Yeah, you will be.
Right? And nobody wants to be around
everybody,
you.
It rubs off on everybody. And then it works the other way too. I've seen it the other way, where one person shows up and they're having the greatest of mornings and it just rubs off on everybody else. And then you'll get a few people saying, well, why are you so happy today?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, because it's all energy, right? Mm-hmm. So we're sensitive to that energy. So it's like that dark cloud that comes into the room, everybody feels it. And the same thing when that sunshine comes into the room, everybody feels it too. And guess who people want to hang out with?
I used to say, when someone was grumpy, I used to say, I wish you came in instead of your attitude. To the works, you know what I mean? Because they would just be grumpy and they'd be negative, and I would just do that just to break the ice, and that's it. It just like, it's true. Like, why are you so? It depends on the severity of what's going on in that morning. But if it's a typical morning, you're going to work, it could be a Monday through Friday, whatever, and you're just grumpy for whatever sake because you're not happy in your life, then sure, you're coming in, you're walking in with that presence, and that's rubbing off on other people.
And it does. Don't tell me it feels good.
It doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good because our
knots are building up and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Because our natural inclination is love, peace, and happiness. That's what we innately are. We see that innately in children. Children are loving, at peace, and happy all the time. So as we get older, the world pulls us away from that. So it doesn't feel good to us because it is not our natural, like, let's say, state. Our state is to be at peace and happy. And so if we're not, we're supposed to be cluing into that and saying, okay, what can I do to bring myself back into alignment with the love, peace, and happiness that I am? What isn't working well in my life, instead of numbing it out with various substances and
all kinds of
and behaviors.
Okay, let's give Sarah a call.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coordinating this. I know it's a challenge.
This is fun because we don't know what they're going to share, so it's so
no
fun.
Idea. Hello, Sarah?
Yes.
Hey, it's Manny from the Construction Life and Building Joy, and I got Teresa on the other end of the table here.
Hi.
Well, hello, both of you.
How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you so much for taking the time and having a chat with us, and on a Saturday, on Euro Cup time, if it affects you. It's not affecting me, though.
I don't think. Do you watch soccer, Sarah?
I'm having trouble understanding your voices because the sound quality is a bit broken up.
Can you hear me now? Is that okay?
Yes, much better.
Okay, there we go. All right, sorry about that. Okay, no, we were just saying it's so good to have you on the show, and thank you for taking the time on a Saturday, especially during the World Euro Cup going on right now, where you can't find a plumber or any kind of trade right now because they're busy.
I am enjoying a very relaxing Saturday. Started with yoga and a delicious breakfast, and just enjoying a quiet day.
Nice.
And how important is it to prioritize activities like that?
Well, I think people always like to answer when you ask them, how are you doing? And they always say, I'm busy. I'm so busy. Yeah, we're all busy. But sometimes you have to take time to just slow down and just be present.
It's like refueling our batteries, right? It's recharging, that we need those moments of like peace and calm to recharge, so that when life demands of us to like really, push forth and put a lot of energy into it, we need to draw from, a well of energy.
Something that I've just, yes, something I've just started doing. I did the new yoga studio in town, and I have unlimited classes. And so I can go any time, any day. And I like how it makes me feel. No?
Is the vibe at that studio the place or the people, or is it you? Hello?
Oh, there you are.
Oh, we lost you there for a second. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I was just asking, when you go to the yoga studio, is it the studio itself, or is it the people, or is it yourself?
I think it's a combination of a relaxing space, a mind that is busy, that becomes quiet, and being surrounded by like-minded people. It feels really amazing.
And how long have you been doing this now? When did you first discover it?
I just joined the studio. It opened up on the weekend, so a week.
And you've seen a huge difference now.
I just feel incredible when the class is over, and I don't ever want the class to end.
Now, when you wanted to be a guest on the show today, what are some things that you wanted to share around happiness?
I wanted to talk about how it's okay to get rid of things, to get rid of people, to get rid of habits or thought patterns that don't serve you. And that something that I did this year that has given me, I don't know, the most, I would like to preface this with, I have ADHD. I am diagnosed. I am 52. It was a late diagnosis. And I really felt like I was out of control. And I felt like I needed to rein myself in, and I didn't know how. I tried ADHD drugs, and they made it worse. And so this year in February, I did something major for me, which is I quit drinking. Now, I didn't quit drinking with this idea that I'm never drinking again. However, I feel so amazing inside and out, the way that I look, the way that I feel, the way that my body feels inside. The motivation that I feel. I feel so incredible. I really don't see myself ever having another drink again. I have no need for it. And I started my business of decluttering, but also through that whole process of decluttering my own home, I realized it's not just about having a clean and clear space. It's about not feeling overwhelmed in your space. It's about having a clear space for us to eat dinner together. It's about me saying, I do have the time to go for a walk or play a game or cook an elaborate meal because the kitchen is clean and ready to go. My fridge is uncluttered. I know what's in there. It's all good food. I just feel like that decluttering toxic things, toxic habits, toxic people. I stopped hanging out with people who have all this drama. I don't want it in my life. And I just I feel like that choice to give up drinking has opened up all these avenues for happiness, to really be in control of my ADHD, in control of my life, the choices that I'm making. Instead of just letting life carry me, I'm making choices like yoga, like having a tidier house, like being more present, instead of just following along with this river of life.
I really think, from what you're sharing, it's coming back to simplicity, right?
Yeah.
When you declutter and you remove all of the different things, you shared a whole bunch of different examples. It's just, life can be simple if we don't fill it up with all of this and a lot of it can be toxic, as you shared. When we don't rely on alcohol to numb out our feelings or our pain or our frustrations or whatever, and now you need to wake up the next morning and do life again, how does alcohol affect that?
Well, I think there's a big difference I'm noticing in how I react to things. Now, the drunkard in me, I would wake up every morning and say the F word. The moment I woke up, just being like, I don't know, just feeling like, no, I don't want this day to get started. I can't. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. And I don't really feel like that anymore. And when I'm driving my car and someone's driving like a complete loser, I don't get mad. I'm just like, okay, let it go. If my daughter's being difficult, I'm finding myself being like super calm and not reactive. I'm at work. I'm not getting angry when people are acting out. I just find myself to be just better prepared. I'm less anxious. I'm not having panic attacks. I'm not getting worried about anything. I'm not worrying about money. I'm not worrying about where I'm going. I'm just worrying about today. I feel like that's a huge difference for me, if not sort of falling into this kind of like spiral, this downward spiral where one thing like just puts you down, and then you just start to think about all the negative things and you get into this spiral. Yeah. I really haven't been doing that since I quit drinking.
Thank you. All good points there.
They're very good points. I was just curious, Sarah, when did you realize, I guess, your own environment was closely connected to your own thought environment? Was that a reflection that you were looking at, how cluttered your life was in your home and also in your...
Yeah. I think it started for me, my separation was, he moved out 6 years ago and he left almost everything here. He just took what he wanted to take and left me with 80% of our stuff, which has taken me almost 6 years to get rid of all the stuff that I don't want. And I think there's been a mind shift, complete paradigm shift. And I don't need to keep this. I haven't touched it in 10 years. And if I do need it, I'll buy another one. I bet you I won't need it. And I'm realizing that it's okay when I get new pots and pans to let go of all the old ones. I'm not keeping them just in case. I'm not keeping a t-shirt that has a stain on it just in case. I'm not keeping people in my life who don't serve me just in case I feel lonely and I need someone to talk to, you know? Like I even decluttered my favorites list on my phone. It's like, these are the people that I want to talk to. If you're not on my favorites list, probably I'm not going to ever call you.
Are you being challenged? Are you getting some people questioning why you're doing this?
No, I'm realizing that I was the person holding the relationship together. And when I let go, I realized they'd let go a really long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm feeling that as I reconnect with some people I haven't seen in a while at yoga who live in our little village. I'm realizing it's okay if we don't say, let's get together, because we're probably not gonna. But that's okay for us to give each other really good feelings when we go to yoga, but we don't have to make plans that we know we're not gonna follow through on. sometimes it's okay to let go of people that they're not adding anything to your life. And I sometimes feel like I'm the one who keeps everything, holds everything together, and I'm holding all my relationships. I'm holding everything together, holding it up. And when I let go and I let the people fall, I realize, oh, well, I was doing all the work.
Is it a bit of a challenge when it comes to family and treating that the exact same way as those friends?
Well, absolutely. Teresa would know, Teresa and I have a friendship that is beyond, external. It's more than an acquaintance. And she knows my story of a rather toxic relationship with my mother that, people have said to me, why don't you cut her out? No, I can't. I have to just be better at how I react.
Boundaries?
Absolutely. And just reminding myself that there isn't much time left.
Mm-hmm.
So do the best that I can, and that's all I can ask, is to do my best.
We can't
ask other people to be more, do more. I can only do better.
And it's important for us to recognize the things, which is almost everything that is outside of our control, right? And how people behave and how they choose to show up and what they want to say and what they want to do is all outside of our control. All we have is our response to it. And that we can control. We can choose how we want to respond to what they say and what they do. And, you're doing that, right? That when she says things that are not kind, that you are choosing how you want to respond to it. And you often choose to respond to it in a very kind of lighthearted, oh, well, this is how I'm going to do it. and off you go. So it's most of life is like that. It's all outside of our control. All we can do is choose how we're going to respond to it. And I want to choose to respond to things in exactly like that, in a very lighthearted, how can I rub off my happiness on other people? And
exactly. I think I'm constantly reminding myself, not constantly, but I do remind myself to not to forget to be the light. When I'm feeling like things aren't going well, then I think, wait a minute, that's just a couple of things. There's lots of great things to talk about. Just reminding myself that conversing with someone I haven't seen in a while, I don't have to tell them about all the terrible things that have happened to me lately. I can tell them about all the great things instead.
Do you sometimes see it in other people, see what you actually were able to move away from? And do you feel slightly obligated to maybe share with them, or is that not really your position to do?
Well, I recently spoke with a friend of mine who we've kind of had an on and off friendship for the last 25 years. And she said something along the lines of, I actually don't want to hear what you have to say on this matter. I'm not interested in your opinion. It's very different from mine. And I thought, oh, okay. And then I thought about it, and then we got off the phone, and I was actually angry. And I thought, okay, perhaps this person doesn't need me in their life, and that's okay. You can, if you don't want to hear something honest that makes you realize maybe there is a change that needs to be made, maybe you should just hang out with people who tell you what you want to hear. And I'm not gonna. So I didn't say anything, but I thought, okay, well, I think this is the sunset on this long friendship.
Wait, and there's nothing wrong with that, to be very honest. If they're not putting the effort into it and they don't want to listen to you the same way that you're listening to them, then there's nothing wrong with you saying, okay, fine. That's totally fine.
But I'm not gonna be verbal or loud about that. I'm not interested in continuing to be connected in that way. I'm not going to say to her, yep, just do me a favor, don't call me again. I'm just not going to answer the phone.
There's no reason for that. You don't have to spend the effort to do that at all.
No, definitely not. I think I just move away from it. Last year, I had an epiphany at the beginning of the year that I don't need to hold on to people who create a lot of drama. And I realized something, that it is kind of fun and exciting to hear about other people's problems. And then you become addicted to these stories where they tell you, oh my God, you won't believe it. I had to hire a private investigator because I found out my boyfriend was cheating on me with hookers. And you're like, what? Tell me more. And then you realize this is a really negative feeling to hold on to, of someone else's pain all the time. And you feel like you want to help them, and maybe you can't help them, or maybe they don't want to listen. And I think we have to let go of the gossip and the drama. You know, people gossip a lot at work.
Yep.
And I hear all kinds of crazy things. And I always say to them, did that person tell you the story themselves? And they say no. And I was like, you should not repeat that story. I bet you it's not true. Because people are all telling stories about me. And they're all they bang on the window when we're passing each other, when we can't connect. And they're saying, is this true? This happened to you? And I say, no, it's not true. Never happened. Don't even know the person. They're like, really? I heard that you got fired. I'm like, I did not get fired. So if people like to hold on to these dramatic, I think we need to let go of this excitement about other people's drama.
Yes.
Because that's what I meant about people who don't serve you. I don't want to call somebody up anymore and hear about their latest drama. I want to hear about their latest excitement, their latest achievement. I want to tell them about mine. I want to tell them about my new business. I don't care if they want to be a client. I just want to tell them how excited I am that I'm doing something. I have a sense of purpose. I'm chasing a feeling, as opposed to getting wrapped up in things that have happened in the past. I'm sort of chasing the future good feels.
Nice.
You know?
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you for taking the time and sharing so much.
Thank you. So
Alrighty.
much. Thank you.
And Teresa, you're coming for yoga. I'm coming for you. Okay.
No problem.
Okay.
I'll try it with you for sure.
Thank you, Sarah. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. A lot there.
Yes. So much.
A lot.
Yeah. Lots we can unpack.
But she just took the bull by the horns. That's basically it. She just I've had enough. And I'm just going to focus on finding that, I love what she said, chasing joy. I just I'm going to go focus on that. And it's true. We do get wrapped up in drama. We just crave it. We just want to know what's the latest and greatest, more exciting than ours. And she's 100% right. I rather talk about what new crazy idea that I'm working on.
I don't think that the drama is what's more exciting than ours. I think we like the drama because somehow, and I don't like drama. I'm also I don't, it doesn't make me feel good at all. But people, I think it makes them feel better about their life, knowing that other people are
going through some sort of pain or something.
Right. It's not nice, right? To say oh, wow, look, I don't feel so bad about, my relationship or my work or whatever by listening to how other people are suffering. That's not right. So, and I think social media provides a lot of that too, right? Oh, let's see what other people are doing so that, you can compare yourself, to what you see on social. But all of that it really doesn't serve us.
None of it.
No.
But I'm so glad that she's found a direction now. And it's unfortunate. I do see a lot of parallels between your friends, your acquaintances at work, and then the family as well too. And you have to start to wonder, what is mom and dad, what are they doing maybe wrong, or why are they being this way at this age or something like that? And we're seeing it and then also between siblings. We see it. So this is all happening. And I know that it's a lot easier to just cut ties from a friend, cut ties from a coworker. But when it starts to become family, it's almost like you want to cut ties, but you'll just be calm about it. You'll be at certain functions, but you're not going to be the way that you used to be when we were much younger, when none of us had any problems, right? There's going to be, and I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine, the one guy that fits in the hula hoop, and he was just telling me, he goes, yeah, I literally cut ties from my dad. I just, I go, so how does that work when you're still speaking to your mom and you go over and see them? He goes, well, I walk in, I say hello to him. He doesn't say hello to me. And then I spend time with my mom. That's it. I'm not feeding what he wants to instigate. I don't. I'm there to see I'll say hello to him, but I'm there to see my mom. And he's just drawn a line.
Because we can, again, all we can control is our response to what's happening outside of ourselves. And so if his dad wants to behave like that, you can choose how you want to show up. I'm going to choose to say hello, and that's the end of like my engagement with them, right?
Yeah.
And so healthy boundaries are important. I think it gets tricky around family, but why insert yourself into the pain, into the muck, into whatever? Like, I won't. I have some friends that are going through some things too, and every time I call to check in, I leave and our conversation feeling worse. I come in, I'm like this like light and ball of like energy and excitement and happiness. And then it's like, oh no, listen to all of these like negative things that are happening. And they're awful, right? And so I realized that instead of me having to check in all the time, how you doing? And I end up leaving feeling worse. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I inserting myself in her situation? I'll just leave it for her to reach out. She knows that I'm there. She can call on me, but I don't need to insert myself all the time to see, what's going on. And then I have to go off refueling now, right? I have to recharge myself because I feel drained after my time with them. And so it's important for us to realize who are those people that we end up feeling badly after we leave their presence. And those are the ones that we have to avoid, we have to limit, or we have to cut out.
It's amazing how, like, I started realizing probably in my late 30s, early 40s, the amount of effort that I would put in to try to communicate with a friend versus the amount of effort that they would do. And I wasn't paying attention to that. And I bare bones it down to when I text one person and he would take days to get back to me. And I was like, this is just ridiculous. Like, you're replying back to me days later, sometimes a week later. And it's clear. And I had this vision in my mind that he would see the alert that my text was there and he ignored it. That's the value that I brought to him. Mm-hmm. So at that point I started realizing, well, then I don't care about you anymore. And then I stopped texting him at all. And I haven't communicated with him. It's been years now at this point. Mm-hmm. And it's just, that's how they are. That's who that person is. Mm-hmm. So it's great that Sarah brought that up. She just started talking about, okay, fine. Someone's saying that, don't give me your opinion. Great. There was one of two ways that she could have handled that. And there's obviously the obvious way that most people handle it. But she did the right thing. We're just, okay, take care. Goodbye. Mm-hmm. And you don't even have to step it up and go, oh, by the way, I'm never going to speak to you again, ever. Like, there's no purpose in that. Mm-hmm. There's no value in that communication. So if there's no value, then don't have it.
Mm-hmm. I also like what she shared about the effect of alcohol on her life, right? Many people at the end of the day will go home and have a glass of wine that turns into 3, and then the next morning they're not waking up in a good state. I know somebody whose husband was an alcoholic, and that was, 1 to 2 bottles. And then the next morning he's waking up at 10 o'clock. And don't tell me you're waking up as the best version of yourself when you've had that much alcohol the night before. It's a toxin. It's a legal toxin. That's what that is. And when we overdrink, the next morning we feel foggy, right? You have brain fog, maybe your stomach's upset, you feel irritated, and you don't want to go into work, as she said, or deal with certain people, and we're agitated and angry, and it's because we need to think about, like, how did you sleep? What are you eating? Are you drinking enough water? Like, it's very simple things. We actually make things more complicated than we need to.
And then misery likes company, right? Yeah. So it's like, then we revert back to that whole, what's our circle all about, and what's going right, or most of the time we want to know what's going wrong.
Yeah.
And then we want to find out, okay, are they in a worse situation than we are? I hope they are, because I hope I'm not the worst one of the bunch. But that's not right. We should be saying, I hope they're doing really well. I hope they're excited about this new idea. I like she was taught, like it makes so much sense, right?
Mm-hmm. All good points. Okay, so we're going to call Paul.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, Paul.
Hey.
Hi. Thank you so much for making some time to talk to us today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So this is the Building Life podcast, and on the show,
The
Building
Construction
Joy.
Life show, where we're doing a show called Building Joy.
And that's Manny.
Nice.
Hey, Paul. Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
man. Nice to meet you too.
Thanks for jumping on so short notice.
Yeah, my pleasure.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a 313A refrigeration mechanic.
Oh, nice. Okay. You're busy then these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, our air conditioning season is in full swing, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Cool.
And Paul, you manage different businesses too.
I do, yeah. I also manage a medical refrigeration company as well as a outdoor cooler and drinkware company.
Medical refrigeration company. Like I remember back in my film days, we got a chance to go to the coroner's office and we had all kinds of medical refrigerators there with certain things in there that kind of idea.
So we actually do a lot of vaccine refrigerators and ultra low temperature freezers. So we're actually manage the largest vaccine refrigerator company in Canada. So if you got a COVID vaccine, it probably came out of one of our units.
And so I would love for you to share a little bit about your happiness, how happy you are, being involved in so many different businesses and then managing your home life, and how do you juggle all of that?
So I'm very grateful to have all these opportunities in front of me. And I think it's about proximity. So the idea that we're here in Canada, there's so much opportunity and I'm extremely grateful. It does come with its challenges. Managing so many businesses and trying to grow so many businesses, it's extremely, extremely challenging. But what's fundamental to our success is our teams and having the right people on our teams that can help me manage and grow these businesses. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong, and someone's not the right mix, and you quickly discover this. And this is where the challenges become and the difficulties. And you can try to address it, but a lot of the times it's just not the right fit. And this is where, we create some conflict within the company sometimes, and we need to find a quick resolution to this.
Can I ask you, Paul, are you an immigrant?
No, I'm a first generation. My parents are immigrants.
Okay. And then I'm assuming you're, how old are you? Probably in your 40s, right?
Yeah, I just turned 44.
Okay. So have you seen, I know that it's really quick with the way Canada, and I love that you brought up about the opportunity here in Canada, and I still agree with you 100% on that. But you get the mindset of everybody that's in Canada right now thinking otherwise. They're all pointing at more unhappiness instead of happiness. Are you seeing that?
To a certain degree, I think cost of living is becoming a huge concern, even amongst our employees. I have employees that are making over six figures, mm-hmm. and they can't afford to buy a home, mm-hmm. which, we as a Canadian, home ownership seems to be one of our top priorities. And when they can't achieve this, there seems like I'm not successful even though I'm making over six figures. It's becoming a problem.
So how do you handle that, or how do you communicate that with them, that there is opportunity there is a silver lining, I guess?
I think it's timing. So with the current administration, they've created some difficulties for Canadians' affordability. Change will come. And I really think that down the road, we're going to see a significant increase in wages as, we catch up to the reality of, yes, life's more expensive and services and goods are going to cost a lot more in the future. but wages will also go up in tandem. So the affordability for homes, I think, will become a more of a reality because I see home prices being stagnant for half a decade or so. So, keep your head up, keep looking for that opportunity. It will come. It's just timing. You gotta catch that timing.
Paul, when you get older, do you do a balance sheet of your happiness? Like, do you look at and reflect back on realizing what you were, or what kind of person you were in your 20s, and then as you aged, you became a different person, and then now you get older, you start thinking, I want to go back to that person I used to be, where I had such balance in my life, and I was a lot happier then, and why aren't I better now?
I actually think it's the reverse. I
Yeah?
think I'm probably I think I'm the happiest I've ever been now because I realize what's important. We all need money to survive, but once you have that roof over your head, that shirt on your back, that food in your belly, what else do you really need?
That's true.
And some of the simplest things really make me happy, like going to the movies with my children. It might cost me $60-$70, but realistically, that's not a lot of money, and it brings me so much joy.
It's all the popcorn. It's all the candy. It's all the pop.
Yeah, it's all extra butter. Extra butter increases the happiness level.
But it's worth it, though. It's worth it for the experience. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, where we have difficulty is, people are looking at, this is what I need to survive. And there's this level of happiness that's underlying, but it's kind of pushed down, saying, hey, I need this first before I can get that happiness. And I kind of understand that, but at the same time, when we reflect in the past, like some of our happiest moments aren't really based on a monetary, materialistic thing. It's an emotion. It's an experience. That's my personal findings, is that it's tied to this. It's the relationships I've had, these experiences I've had with these people. That's what I remember, and that's what I think I'm going to remember when I'm done on this earth, is the great things I've done with these people.
And when do you feel like you need to take time out for yourself and do the things that bring you joy? When do you feel like that? Like, is it where you might reach a certain level of like stress and overwhelm at work, and then you feel like, oh, I need to like find out how or make some time for me? Or is it something that you always have incorporated into your schedule, so you're always maintaining a balance around that?
So every morning is my time. I usually wake up really early in the morning, and it's me time where I'm undisturbed. And I find that's where I'm able to get through my thoughts and the calm and be able to do something just for me. And this really helps me balance my week out. In the past, I would find that I'd get really overwhelmed when things got crazy at work, to the point where it's like, hey, I need to go away by myself for a few days and not talk to anybody because I've had enough. That doesn't seem to happen anymore. I think it's kind of a twofold, where I've realized what I need to in order, to balance myself out. But at the same time, I think I was also telling myself a bullshit story in the past. Like, oh my God, this is insane. Where it's like, yeah, okay, the volume is a little intense, but you'll handle it. And by adding the right people into the mix that can help me manage this, I've really been able to reduce my stress level. So it's really infrequent where I have these days where it's like, I need to get away from everybody. And a lot of time, if I do find that I'm starting to get a bit overwhelmed, I find in the physical activity, like something as simple as going for a walk, will really help me bring me down again and be like, okay, you're okay. Everything is fine. Let's move forward.
How do you translate that to a younger generation? Like we mentioned earlier, how you get these 20-somethings. We don't discover this until we get a little bit older, but we see it that they're going through some hardships in their 20s. And how do you translate that to them?
I think what it is the story you tell yourself. So, shit's going to happen. It happens to all of us. It's how do we manage it and how do we move forward? So be prepared. Be prepared. Like, things are going to happen. And no, the world is not against you. This is just life. But don't blow it out of proportion. So when it happens, digest it. Take it for what it actually is. Don't dwell on it, and figure out how you're going to solve this and move on. Right? Take a deep breath. Go for a walk. Shut that phone off, because that is the biggest distraction, waste of time that's not going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Just go for a walk. Let your brain come up with the solution. Think about what you want. How do you want this resolved? Once you figure that out, you know what you want that end picture to look like, the map will be drawn, and you'll be able to follow that map, and it'll lead you to what you want and how to get this resolution.
I used to do walks with the headset to listen to certain tracks or certain podcasts. I stopped doing that years ago. I was appreciating just the natural sounds environment around me, and I was liking that a lot more than putting a song or putting someone else's voice in my ear, right?
Yeah, because it's a bit of a distraction.
Yeah.
Right? It's not allowing your brain to actually talk to you and say, hey, this is what's going on. Right? It's okay. Like, if you want to, pump yourself up, put on some music, that's great, because you're going to put yourself into that state. But if you kind of need to figure things out, let your brain talk to you. Mm-hmm. Right? It's amazing what you can do by yourself. And again, the key, the way I find it, like to find solutions in these challenges, is what do I want as a result? So when I figure that out first, I can work backwards and figure out what steps do I need to get in order to get to this result. And it's not always going to be perfectly smooth and exactly the way it's going to happen, but it's okay to navigate a little bit and to make these small adjustments to get to that goal, to get to that resolution.
How detailed do you get with the result definition?
Pretty detailed. So if it's something financial, I put a dollar figure on it, and I put a timeline on it. But I also put, what is the result of reaching this, right? So what do I really want from this? Because money's great, but realistically, money doesn't make you happy. It's, what's the money going to be used for? Is it, I want a cottage. Well, why do you want a cottage? Just to say you have a cottage? Or do you want a cottage so you can host your family there, host your friends there, have these great, amazing experiences with them? So it's not really you want the cottage, it's you want this place where you can have these amazing experiences with your friends and family.
So true.
And how important is it to spend time on your own to be able to figure out some of this?
It's extremely important. I need at least an hour to 2 hours a day by myself where I can be with my thoughts. And without that, life would be very hectic.
And you give yourself that at the start of the day?
Yeah. Some mornings I wake up at 4 a.m. Some mornings 5, but I'm usually up before the rest of the family. And I do a lot of work with Chinese factories. I try not to start talking to them before 6 a.m. because it gets hectic. As soon as that conversation starts, my day is started.
Yep.
No, lots of great points here. And I think it's important to recognize that we all have lots on our plates to do, lots. But it's making ourselves a priority and recognizing that when we do carve that time out, that it has huge benefits afterwards, right? So we had a guest on our last show that said that if he doesn't get his workout in every day, that he realizes that he's less productive in the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I hear you echoing that same thing, that when you carve that time out and you honor it and you defend it and you set up those boundaries to give yourself that you see and you reap the benefits of that in the rest of your day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the day, there our daily routine. Absolutely. Just want to add one other thing to this is that, some of the best ideas I've ever come up with is when I'm away on vacation with my wife. We'll just sit there totally relaxed, having a conversation. It's like, we need to do this. and we come up with a plan. And when we come back, we implement that plan and we see results within like weeks, and massive results, not just, oh, that was okay. Huge shifts in our trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And you need that. You need that time to just sit, reflect, and figure out what you want.
I wanted to ask you, just as we're getting close to wrapping up, I was just curious, is it more challenging for people that are single and don't have those significant others in their lives, whether they just chose not to, or maybe they've gone through a divorce or they've lost somebody? But does that become a challenging point in their lives to kind of come up with these ideas, to have these moments?
Yeah, I think it's really important to be able to have someone in your life that you can talk to, be a friend, a partner, or a coach. I also work with a coach, and totally different insight with working with a coach than with my wife. They're both extremely valuable, but I think it's extremely important to have a conversation with someone else who's like-minded and that can help you navigate some of the questions you have or some of the ideas you have. Use them as a sounding board. It's great to be by yourself for, certain things, but yeah, I think there's huge value in being with somebody else and chatting with them, and even just spitballing ideas and brainstorming. Huge value. So yeah, if you're single, I definitely would find a friend or someone who you can talk to. I think it's a great idea.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much, Paul. Is there anything else, Teresa, you want?
Yeah, and you said the like-minded people part. Like, that's so important, because if you're surrounding yourself by people that aren't working towards some of the same goals and changes that you're looking to implement in your life, they're going to end up sabotaging you. Right? So you're like, I want to lose weight. I want to exercise. I want to, make this much more money in my business. And then they're just tearing you down by saying, oh, that'll never work out. No, that'll never happen. No, look at this, this went bad for this person. And then next thing you know, it's like all of your dreams and aspirations have all been squashed because you're surrounded by people who are not moving in the same direction that you want to move in. And so I think it's so important for us to find those encouraging and supportive individuals that say, yeah, that's what you should do. And like try to, and who want to support you in that.
Yeah. And to take it like one step further, if you're looking to grow your business, you want to find someone who's successful in your field and work with them, have a coffee with them, buy them lunch. It'll be worth every penny, because this is a person that has the skill and the track records to be where you want. Like, not to knock, like a grocery store clerk. If you want to grow your business, you're not going to sit there and bounce your ideas off a grocery store clerk. Yes, they're important in society, but they don't have the experience that's required to propel you or to give you insight on what's required to grow your business.
Yep.
Yeah. Great point. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Paul,
popping on with us today. So last minute. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks. You too.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
That was great.
Yeah, lots of good points there too, right? And he's somebody that he manages multiple businesses, is out of the country, for different conferences, and he goes to China for his work, and so he's really busy, and he manages his home life and his relationships. So he's doing a lot of things right, for sure. And I love that point about. I'm glad that he shared that he is working with a coach, and he's
That's
giving
important.
them pointers of, for his business, and that's how coaching is different than like therapy or counseling, in that a coach is you moving in the direction of your future, the person that you want to become, the person you want to be. And so it's more forward focused than it is about going through like, the crap in the past. Not that you don't need to also maybe resolve, heal, and forgive and grow from that, but it's not like the whole focus of it. The focus is, where are you going, and what steps can we implement to take you in that direction? And so that's where it's different. I also think that when he said it's important to talk to someone, is that we tell ourselves lies in our heads. And like when he said, sometimes we think, oh yeah, this is devastating, this is brutal, this is like, I can't, and it's like, okay, this is what we're saying to ourselves, but is this the truth? And he's like, no, I can handle this. I can, this is happening, but these are the steps that I'm going to take. And so,
I love that he's having conversations with the younger generation, trying to explain to them that it's not all dire. Like there is some positive there. There's something going on that you should be considering. Yeah. Because
he has different, like younger people that work in the businesses too, that he's a part of. So I definitely see him as a mentor, and he wants to be that. And he's brought in, certain professional development to help them grow, recognizing that when they grow, it helps his business grow. And it helps him move towards, the goals that he has set for his company. And so it's really about, creating a culture around you professionally and personal that support you on being the best version of yourself. You and I were talking about yesterday about if we only saw ourselves as the greatest masterpiece.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. That we're creating. That's us. And investing time in creating the best version of ourselves for us first, and then knowing that then permeates out into everything that we do, that everyone around you reaps the benefits of when you're in the best version of yourselves, like physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And that balance and that simplicity is so important. And it's so interesting that came out in what he said too, is that, you've achieved all these things, and then recognizing that things could be, it's the simplest things that bring you the most joy.
And I also did like that when he's on vacation with his wife, they're communicating about even more future ideas, and then they start implementing them right away. Because it's one thing to go through what you're going through, and then another thing to overcome that, and then finally decide on how your life's going to be. But then now you've got to continue doing that. And you have to, because like some have said and shared before on past show and even on this show, we don't know how much more time we have, right? So it could be a day, it could be a month, it could be a year, it could be many, right? But you can continuously still plan and think about more things that you want to accomplish. And if you want to accomplish with other people, and who those people are going to be, they're all valuable, right?
And if we do want to be here longer, what steps can we take to ensure that we are healthy, right? That our body's going to stand up the way that we need to. Like all of this shell is what we need to be able to do all the big and grandiose things and plans and dreams and aspirations that we have. If this isn't functioning properly, how are we going to accomplish any of those things? So recognizing that I have big goals for myself, doing my PhD at this point in my life, and all the things that I want to do after I achieve that, is that I need this temple, and I treat it as a temple. So, I limit my alcohol. I drink a lot of water. I try to exercise, every day if I can. Even if that's just going out for a walk, trying to look at what I'm putting in my mouth, right? And oftentimes people are on the road and they don't meal prep. They just grabbing, whatever is there, and the Tim Hortons and the donuts and the doubles and this is not, that's, and the pop, and
I know
it's it's not serving us, right? And so it's if I treat this really as a temple, knowing that I have all these things that I want to do, if you have kids, you want to be at their weddings, you want to see them graduate, you want to maybe be with your grandkids, all of that. What does your body need to be like? What state does it need to be in if you want to do that one day? And I don't think we have to reach those crossroads. I hope it's our show. I hope it's somebody listening to our conversations that is their moment of reflection, that aha, that says, you know what, I'm not going to have a Coke today. I'm going to have a bottle of water instead. And I'm only going to have, one or two coffees. And I'm not going to choose the muffin. I'm going to choose an apple.
It's challenging to fight the younger guys, though, the younger trades.
But it's small things. It's this is not life-changing. It's tiny 1% changes that you make every day add up. Could you imagine if you did one thing, one small 1%, a little better today, throughout the year? That's 365.
It was the same way that when I started sharing with a lot of people that watch the show and pay attention to my social media about reading, how I got into the 52 books a year kind of mentality. And they were just like, how did you do that? I was like, one page. You just read one page. And then if you read one page a day, that's 365 pages that you've read. And that's could be 2 books, could be one long book, but that's how you start. It's one little thing at a time. And don't get all high and mighty there, Teresa. A lot of tradespeople have a PhD, but it's post-hole digging.
Post-hole digging.
Learned that from a guest that was on the show recently.
Or Papa has dough.
Oh, Papa has dough. I never heard that one. Okay. This has been great. It's been great. So thank you so much for coordinating with Anita and Sarah and then now Paul. And we had 3 completely different people sharing what's going on. And it's totally applicable to what our listeners are going on with them as well too, right?
Yeah, we want the show to be, this is building joy.
Yeah.
This is about you listening to a show and feeling motivated and inspired to make changes. We're not going to sit here and commiserate.
No.
And focus on what's going wrong, because all you have to do is turn on the news every day and listen to the radio, and you know what's going wrong in the world. We don't have enough of what we're doing. There isn't enough about talking about how do we get ourselves out of the muck, right? May was Mental Health Month, and all they talked about was the mental illness, how 50% of the population is suffering or has suffered from mental illness. And so we know that things are not going well, but how do we get out of it? And this is what this show is about. And the guests today shared different changes that they've made in their lives to move forward, and they are reaping the benefits of these changes.
You could hear it in their voice. Mm-hmm. You could totally hear in their voice that they're in a different place, right?
Yeah, and that's what we want. We want that people get ideas for the very small but consistent steps that they can take toward bringing your life into the direction that you want it to be. Because otherwise, just talking about all of the challenges and everything that's hard, and we know, but how do we get ourselves out of it? And how do we motivate and inspire ourselves to take that action? And I hope that listening to, the stories that are going to come out of the shows that we're going to have is that those that are taking those steps, that they are reaping the benefits and they are happier because they're prioritizing their joy.
Simple as that. Want to share your information again to everybody?
Yes, so you can reach me. Definitely check out my website. It's TeresaGreco.ca. And on there, you can find out more about me, more about my coaching practices, my program that I have there. So I'm a coach. We talked about coaching today. And I'm on social media. So, we're
under the Steps of Happiness also, but also under your name as well too, Teresa Greco.
Yeah. Teresa Greco on Instagram _StepstoHappiness.
And then if anybody's interested in being on future shows and they want to share, and we're hoping that more and more you want to share and get on the show and discuss what's going on, whether it's good or bad, and if there's some way that we can help, then we will. So we'll plan on more shows doing that. We'll do the exact same thing, the call in, and we'll just schedule it. And it's literally 15 minutes of your time to be on the show. We don't have to share all kinds of personal. You keep it as the way you want it, and then we just want people to understand that there's other people out there going through very similar things, and there's ways of getting over those things.
Yes, that's right.
And becoming a lot happier.
Yes.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Manny,
for another great Building Joy show.
Thank you.
All right, this has been amazing. That's it. We're out of here.